So the first mistake really is not having a real why. Now, everyone knows the importance of having a why, and it's like the first thing that's drilled into people's head in any real estate investing seminar and workshop. But although everyone knows their why, most people don't have a real why. Now, when we started investing, our why was very simple. It was our kids, otherwise known as family, which is probably the most common why. So in our book, we make a joke saying, long gone are the days of Tom Vu in front of his mansion with his Learjet and fountains and dancing girls. I mean, people really now do things more for meaningful things rather than just the money, although everyone obviously loves money. People's whys vary, but usually they come down to, broad sweeping statements like ours, such as family. And, we will challenge you on this because, in my opinion, this really isn't a real why. It's not strong enough. I mean, you see the quote on the screen right now. It says, "He who has a why can endure any how." Now, family, of course, it's obviously a strong why. But what about family? Like, what does investing in real estate and building wealth have to do for your family? Because when I started investing in real estate, and I would swear up and down it was for my family, I wasn't anywhere near my family. My family, like my why, was to be a stay-at-home mom with my children. But my reality was I was working 20-hour days on real estate, and I was never available for them. And it took me 2 years away from my family and almost facing financial ruin to realize this. And it was basically because my why was way too general. A real why, it's specific, it's laser focused, it's easy to measure, and also to refer to, so you can see that you are on track. Because that's what your why really should be doing. It should be helping you endure anyhow. It should be keeping you on the right track. And it can change and grow as you continue to change and grow and achieve. So we discussed this formula in our book, and we'll also be doing so at our Real Estate Mistakes workshop, in which our business coach, Joey Ragona, who actually inspired us to write the book in the first place, he really helped us determine what our real why was. And he can help readers and participants at the workshop also really kind of step up and have a good look within and really find what their real why is. Now, if anyone wants to specify what their why is, feel free to type it into the comments box, or if you have a question about a why, I'll definitely get back to that in 1 minute. The second mistake made by investors is not having a real focus. Now, when we started out investing in real estate, we are doing everything. And if you look at the screen here, these are all live transactions that we did, just a little small few examples. But I mean, from left to right, I'll go through them quickly. We were flipping, we were buying vacation properties, we were doing land development, student rentals and rent-to-owns, pre-construction homes and assignments. We were doing buy rent holds, multifamily homes and apartment buildings, and even lakefront cottage properties and development. And we completed over 100 transactions in our first year of real estate. Because we were doing so much and we thought we were so busy and actually making so much money, we also didn't realize how much we were losing in regards to time and money. And we had what we often refer to as shiny penny syndrome. This is so common for beginner investors to experience. I mean, there are so many different ways to make money in real estate, and the grass always seems greener until our business coach, once again, Joy Ragona, put and really kind of pointed out very fast that we had no focus whatsoever. And this lack of focus is really what almost killed us financially. And it also really took us away from that initial why. So this is what we cover in our book. We have a few chapters on different areas of focus in our projects and how we went very, very astray. And we're also focusing on this at our upcoming workshop. And we're going to be reviewing some common real estate investment strategies. We're going to be looking at buy, rent, holds, rent to owns, flipping, wholesaling, and assignments. And we're going to be discussing the pros and cons of each strategy to help investors to really decide what strategy that you need to focus on. And then we're also going to do this with actual hands-on. This isn't just a learning pen to paper workshop. We're actually having exercises and experiences from our business coach, Joy Ragona, who is going to help participants as well as readers, because this is in the appendix of our book as well, but really put you through some of these activities to get you the clarity that you need to really, really get the focus you need to be successful in real estate investing. And another amazing thing we're going to learn, which I'll actually be teaching as well, is we're going to teach you how to become a picky investor. So you're actually going to be able to learn to form your very own real estate investment models that will guarantee to keep you on the right track. The third mistake investors make is not having a real financial plan. Now, this refers to chapter 3 in our book, which we titled Building a House Without a Solid Foundation. Now, what happens when you build a house without a solid foundation? Eventually, it will sink. And this is the same thing with your financial plan. If you do not build your financial plan with your end goals in mind, you will eventually sink and you risk not achieving your goal. So chapter 3 of our book discusses us using a mortgage agent that we didn't vet properly, leading us actually to almost get sued. This is our very, very first real estate transaction. We then used another mortgage agent who was a little bit better until we hit a financing wall, even though we still had money to invest. We were not able to qualify for properties because we never created a proper mortgage plan. So then this led us to move on to using OPM, other people's money, and creative financing. And this is taught in all those very expensive courses that we took, which also was a disaster because this led us to, again, to financial ruin and almost even losing our personal residence. So needless to say, this was an extremely stressful time in our lives until we regrouped and created a strategic mortgage plan and learned the real use of OPM, which is what we will be covering in our workshop and in our book. Mistake number 4, not having a real tax planning structure. Now, to incorporate or buy in your personal name, that is the question. And if one does decide to incorporate, how do you do so? And what does all this mean? How do you put yourself in a position where you're able to design your own personalized structure in which you purchase real estate and create a plan that aligns with your present and future goals and is tax efficient? But most of all, it's one that you understand 120% and leaves you feeling empowered. Because when we were knocking on accountant number 3, 3 accountants, as well as Dett's door, and we were forced to answer the question, why are you structured as a 3-tiered corporation? The only answer we could come up with is because that's what we were told to do. Not from an accountant, but from the presenter at an expensive real estate course. And that if we did not do what we were told, we were basically stupid and risked losing everything in lawsuits and taxes. And this is what we discuss in our book and in our upcoming workshop, how you can move forward making the right choices for you. It may be a 3-tier corp. Maybe it's perfect for you, but maybe it's not. Maybe you need a 2-tier corporation or a 1, or maybe you should just buy in your personal name. This is a very, very personal decision based on your personal circumstances. So you should not be expected to adhere to an expensive cookie cutter solution, especially one that you do not understand. So at our workshop, we'll have our lawyer and our accountant presenting the pros and cons of personal versus incorporating, as well as providing a thorough understanding of different types of corporations and LLCs. And of course, being tax efficient as possible. Because like the last thing you want to do, I mean, aside from going to the pen for tax evasion, is losing all of your investment earnings in taxes. So finally, this kind of brings us to our last mistake, what investors make, is not having a real education. Now, it's kind of funny I say this because rather than a lack of education, most investors experience what we call education overload. Investors tend to follow this very, very similar pattern. So, and I'm sure a lot of you today tell me if this kind of has happened to you. Most start with books, more specifically real estate books, more specifically Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's probably the real estate Bible out there that most investors start with. I love that book. And from this point, they continue to add to their book collection, or if you were like me, your little audio CDs so you can listen while you're driving around. And you're absorbing new concepts, new ideas, but soon you become a little bit frustrated from the lack of response from the books, because books don't talk and they do not provide any feedback. It's kind of like similar to probably the response that you're getting from your peers or your office workers at the proverbial water cooler when you start sharing your new and cool ideas and they're not so receptive. So the next common step is to seek like-minded people. Now, often found in networking groups, or some people take the plunge for these expensive real estate courses. So as a teacher, my background is in teaching. I mean, I am all for education. And even more so, I am all about positive mindset and sharing ideas through networking. I mean, we own and operate one of the most successful networking groups in the GTA. But what we discuss in our book and in our workshop is how to stop you from going overboard and how to receive the right education and networking opportunities that work for you. So at our workshop and our book, I mean, we discuss, how investors today, they're inundated with choices from who to learn from. I mean, who knows what, who's good, who's at the best strategies. There's a lot of celeb factor going on. People think the celebrities are going to be there when really they're just kind of selling their brand. How much should you be expected to pay for your real estate education? I mean, anyone who knows our story, we paid over 6 figures, which is why we were such active investors, because we kind of felt like we had to be to make our money back. And, we kind of share our experience about, I never regret, investing in our education, but there are different ways that we could have done it. There's different payments we could have made, different ways you can fund your education, and also different ways to plan for making that money back, not getting in perpetual debt and not falling for those NLP tactics. And just maybe even looking for some more affordable options, just so you spend your money on investing in real estate and not spending it all on education that you may never use. So now that we covered these 5 common mistakes made by investors that can cost you, say, thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars in mistakes, and we personally made these mistakes, and describe our journey cover to cover in our book, Real Estate Mistakes, Our Mistakes, Your Success. Now, we're really happy that we went through this, as it led to the formation of our successful real estate portfolio, even though we did for 2 years. I mean, we really had to dig our way out of this financial ditch that we dug ourselves from all the mistakes that we just talked about earlier. Finally, we stopped and regrouped, formed a good team, and really got our true financial freedom for us, and yes, for our real why, for our family. But just as importantly, this led to the creation of Real Property Investments, which has allowed us to help over 800 investors learn from our mistakes and create financial and personal success in their lives.